For once, I do. I do agree. I do agree with Dak Prescott. He hasn't done bleep yet. I really am proud of him for finally saying what needs to be said. I mean, the reality is that Dak Prescott, he's no scrub. He can ball. But in the end, there are moments, big moments, where he's come up small, which is why it explains, in part anyway, why the Dallas Cowboys haven't been in an NFC Championship game, let alone a Super Bowl, since 1995. All right, it is what it is. And America's team worth $9 billion when the average team is worth $5 billion and stuff like that. Somehow, some way, the relevancy of the Dallas Cowboys comes into the forefront. But then I look at the Dak Prescott, and for all his numbers right here, and let's look at his numbers, Shannon, Sharpe, Jeff Saturday, 70% completion percentage, 2,935 yards, 23 touchdowns, just six interceptions.
Great.
A quarterback rating of 107, a QBR of 75. I mean, we got to give props where props is due.
Absolutely.
On its surface. But then Shannon, Sharpe, Jeff Saturday, I get to look at their schedule. Put Jeff Saturday up on that screen right now. I want to see him. There he is. Let me tell you something, Jeff Saturday. The Giants to open the season, 40-0. The Jets, game 2, 30-10. We know who the Giants and the Jets are. I mean, the stench emanating out of New York. I mean, we get where it comes from. It comes from these two football teams. And then we see, even though they lost to Arizona, a bad loss, then you play New England. Okay, that's a victory, okay? You beat the Chargers. That was a respectable victory. You beat the Rams. That was a respectable victory. You lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. You played respectable in that loss. But here's what they got. New York, Carolina, and Washington. I mean, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all. I gave you 7 games, man. I gave you 7 games. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are the only team in NFL history that we had a bye week for like 4 straight weeks. I mean, this is what it is. They had a bye week. I mean, they had 4 bye weeks, rather, in the same season. This is what we're talking about. So the fact that Dak Prescott is willing to come out and be honest and actually say something substantive during one of his media sessions, I think is breaking news. I've told people for years, Jeff Saturday, ignore the man. He said the same thing every time. What he said last week is the same thing he said his rookie year, 7, 8 years ago. I'm tired of listening to him. And then he comes out and he shocks me by finally saying something substantive during a press conference. He hasn't done bleep yet, because they haven't played anybody, they haven't won against anybody yet.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, if you look at the context currently, you look and you read off all the things, the 2,900 yards, the 23 touchdowns, the QBR and the passer rating, all that's great. But what's the next step? Dak's been a Rookie of the Year. He's won the division title. He's gone to the Pro Bowl. So what's the next step? What's the next step in order to be considered a great or an elite level quarterback? Go make a further playoff run and get this team to the Super Bowl. I don't think you're going to find very many people that will say Saturday, the way this team is constructed, that it's not Super Bowl caliber. You look at the quarterback position, they got C.D. Lamb, they got Brandon Cooks, they got Gallup. Ferguson is a budget and spoon maker. They've got guys. You look at the offensive line. You look at their defense. They take the ball away at a historic clip, and they put it into the end zone. So this team is the way it's built, is set up perfectly in order to win a championship. And you're right, Dak. Now it's time. You've had those regular season accolades, and you've gone to the Pro Bowl, and you've won the division. But the next step for you and this team is to take it to the next level. So I agree with what Dak is saying, that he hasn't done anything yet. And I love that he said yet, because there's still an opportunity, not down the road, this year, in order to get it done.
Yeah, listen, I mean, he's saying what he needs to say. But the reality is the dude has played the quarterback position better than anybody else since San Francisco. And that's just a fact. You can think whoever you want. Hey, by the way, who did the Jets beat? Stephen A.? Who did they beat?
Eagles.
The team that – okay. So you do actually have to go play and show
Eagles,
up
the Cowboys
every week,
didn't beat
right?
them. The Cowboys didn't beat them.
Okay, but you got to go show up every week, right? You got to go play, right? So you got to go play the Jets. You got to go play whoever it is that you were making fun of, the New Englands, the Giants, all that. And I'm not saying that he's played top-level talent. I agree with you on that. What I am saying is when he's played deficient talent, he has maximized what they do. And what in the interim they've done as a team is they have grown in confidence of understanding what each player needs to contribute, whether that's Brandon Cooks, whether it is Ferguson, whether it's CeeDee Lamb, whether it's Tony Pollard. What are we and what aren't we have the decisions that have been made playing against poor, talented teams. Now, they got a stretch run. They're going to finish the season playing some dogs. You're going to see who they are. But Dak as a player has done everything that he can do and then some. He's like number one in the league outside the pocket. He's number one in the league at quarterback inside the pocket. He's number one in the league against man. Like every metric that you're taking, he has played as well at that position. So to say I haven't done anything, I get it, right? Like he hasn't done because everybody's going to compare him or want to get to the playoffs. But make no mistake, since San Fran, the Dallas Cowboys are a much better football team today than what they were then. And not just because of the loss to San Fran, because they lost to the Eagles, but they were a much better team and a much improved team. And to your point, Shannon, as far as the only thing I would say in any argument that we just said, I still don't think they're as good as San Fran or Philly. I'm just like, when you structure them, like with Dak, listen, from a team perspective, in totality, from every spot, the only difference I would say that I give a little more trust to the Cowboys is because of what Bland has been able to do. Their defense not only they're scoring points. Like if they can continue that, which I'm not sure, but man, that right there will separate teams because on the defense, Dan Quinn has brought some, and they are playing excellent football on that side. So they are more confident. They are going to have to go through a gauntlet of teams. But man, Dak saying he hadn't done anything, the dude's played quarterback position better than anybody else in the game right now. That's doing something.
But Saturday, you played with a guy that was winning MVPs and was winning divisions, and he didn't get the credit he deserved until what happened in 2009.
Super Bowls.
2006, because he won the year before Eli. In 2006, and he was every year in the Pro Bowl, every year leading the league in passing, damn near every year leading the league in touchdown passes. But it wasn't until 2006 that he started to getting the credit that he deserved.
Should Chicago move on from Fields and draft Caleb Williams out of USC?
I don't think so. Listen, if you're the Chicago Bears, you have a lot of holes in this roster. And so if you can use that first pick to go get more, listen, you can build your offense around DJ Moore. How about you go get Marvin Harrison Jr., put him on the other side? You don't think that's going to help Justin Fields be a better quarterback? I can assure you it will. So you could build your roster, get 2 firsts, get 2 seconds, and actually look at this, the entirety of the team as opposed to just one player. When I think about even last year, think about Bryce Young comes in, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, all in the first 4 picks. One's on IR, one's 1-10, and one's balling. So you got a 33% chance. It doesn't matter if you put Caleb Williams in this exact same situation. Is he going to make the Bears a playoff team as a rookie? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of different holes they can fill in this football team. Trading away that pick and adding to your roster in totality, I think is a much better point of view than just trying to make one fell swoop with a Caleb Williams. Now, I'm going to say it this way, though, just to make sure that everybody understands. If for some reason you felt like Caleb Williams, Drake May, you name it, one of any of these quarterbacks is an Andrew Luck, is a Peyton Manning, just a generational guy that's a can't miss, then I think you can't pass. But I think you moving on from Justin Fields, I think in my point of view, it's too early. Ride with him another year, see what he can do after you built that receiving core around him, and then see what you can do as a football team.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you Saturday because I don't believe they're going to pass on 2 quarterbacks at the number 1 slot overall for the second time around. So how about this? And I don't think Justin Fields would be all upset if he were to be moved out of Chicago. But you take Justin Fields and you package him. Don't you think you can get at least a first and a third for him? And so now I'm in a situation where I can draft Caleb Williams. Also, I might have another top 5 pick and I can go get a Marvin Harrison, or I can go get a Brock Bowers, or I can go get Neighbors out of LSU. I can get someone and pair with DJ Moore. You're absolutely right. You need more than one. But I just believe that Caleb Williams is too great of a talent, and listening at people talking about him, that he's a combination between this, a Patrick Mahomes, and a Tom Brady, and he can make every single throw. Now, that's projecting. We don't know what he's actually going to be, but you got to project at some point in time what you think these kids can be. I just would move on, and I would try to get a first and a third, knowing that I have Carolina's number 1 pick, which looks like it's going to be number 1 overall. I still have my pick that could be top 10. And then if I trade Justin Fields, I'll get another top 10 quarterback. And maybe I use that pick to go get me a veteran player, a big-time veteran player. So, yes, I would be willing to move on from a Justin Fields and try and make my team better, and I'm going to use Justin Fields to make that team better. I'm taking Caleb Williams if I get the #1 overall pick.
I totally agree with Shannon in that regard, Jeff Saturday, because I think that you have to take into account what they were saying about Fields. You have to take into account the fact that it doesn't appear as if that's a place that he wants to be. And by the way, nobody's going to blame him for it, to be quite honest with you. We just have to be honest about that. And when you consider what you can get, because there's so many teams desperate for a legitimate, qualified starting quarterback, then you never know what kind of what kind of compensation that you can get in return for his services.
Raiders
and the Jets. Don't get me started. In long term, when we're talking about it, who should have drafted him to begin with. Let's not forget that. But here's the important thing to bring up about Justin Fields since his rookie start, right? Since his rookie season of 2021. Win-loss record, 7-26, worst. Pass yards per game, 162.8, dead last. Time sacked, 120 times, second most in the NFL. Only Russell Wilson has been sacked more. Completion percentage, 61%. Only Zach Wilson is worse. Passer rating, 83.1. Only Zach Wilson is worse. The good, rush yards per game, 56.1, which is second in the NFL to Lamar Jackson. He can run with the football, difficulty passing, difficulty keeping him protected. And on top of it all, it's a long road. And, oh, by the way, Ryan Poles, the GM, didn't draft Justin Fields. He came afterwards. You understand? You got to take that into consideration as well.
Shannon, are we sure Caleb Williams is that dude?
Well, there's no way to definitively know. And Saturday, since you were a head coach and you've been in a lot of these meetings where you're trying to project, there's no way to definitively know who is, because look at Brock Purdy. He's Mr. Irrelevant, and he's turned himself into a damn good football player. Jalen Hurts. If the Eagles actually thought Jalen Hurts was going to be what he is now, they took him in the first round. So you don't know. But from all the things that I've heard, Caleb Williams is a special quarterback, and he's as close to a layup as you're going to have. I don't believe anybody in this position would pass him up. So I think they're going to probably end up moving on from Justin Fields. And like you said, Stephen A., there are 13, 14 teams that needs a starting quarterback, Molly, and Justin Fields he will fetch a first rounder, or he would secure a first rounder, a third rounder. You don't think you'll get a first rounder for Justin Fields?
No way, man. Listen, general managers are way too smart. They know you got all kinds of capital. They'll just wait you out. They know you're gonna have to pay his fifth-year option, or he's gonna sit and move on. They're not gonna make some massive move to give you more capital. They want to see you use your capital. Like, general managers get that part as well. If they know you're moving on from somebody and gonna go somewhere with Caleb Williams, Drake May, or whoever else you think is in that top category, then you got to go. But here's my question. If you walk Caleb Williams into the same situation, and it's Poles, Eberflus, the entire staff that they have right now on offense, you think all of a sudden this thing just turns? Like, at some point you got to go get – and listen, I'm with you on the Bowers. I'm with you on the Marvin Harrison Jr., right? When you look at these players are so dynamic. I think they help every quarterback. And when you think about Justin Fields, and you talked about the positive of him, Stephen A., the ability to run the ball – think about if he were put in Philadelphia's system. I'm not comparing him to Jalen Hurts, so don't everybody get all hurt about this. But if he's in that type of system where they are using the RPO with the majority of their stuff, and they're finding ways and they're building this with Marvin Harrison Jr. on one side and DJ Moore as well. They already got Cole Kmet at tight end. You have the ability to expand your offense. If then he doesn't perform, I'm with it, right? But to just say, hey, we're going to move on and go get somebody, I just don't think it's a plug and play at that position.